Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namida. Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shri Amakuta Radha Vrindavan Dham ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Jagakshetra Dham ki, Ganga Maya ki, Yamuna Maya ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Samaveda Gopinath ki, all glories to Sri Guru, all glories to Sri Guru, all glories to Sri Guru, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. Yashodanandana Radadanaranjana Yashodanandana Radadanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotarshati Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotarshati Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki. Jaya Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shri Amakunda Radha Kunda Girga Vedan ki. Vrindavan Dham ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Jagannath Kshetra Dham ki, Ganga Mai ki, Yamuna Mai ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, thank you for coming and joining for this class. I am asking for your blessings so that I can speak according to the Shastra without deviation, and that it can help us to progress on the path to Krishna. So today we are reading verse 261. Yeah, chapter 2, text 61. Tani sarvani samyamya Yukta asitamat para Vashahi yasyendriyani Tasya prajna pratishtita Tani sarvani samyamya Yukta asitamat para Vashahi yasyendriyani Tasya prajna pratishtita. Would you like to recite? Tani sarvani samyamya Yukta asitamat para Vashehi yasindriyani tasya prajna pratishtita tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matpara Vashehi yasindriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. Tani, those senses. Sarvani, all. Samyamya, keeping under control. Yukta, engaged. Asita, should be situated. Matpara, in relationship with me. Vasha, in full subjugation. He, certainly. Yasya, one whose. Indriyani, senses. Tasya, his. Prajna, consciousness. Pratishtita, fixed. So, we will read the translation and then you can repeat. So one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. If you can repeat. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. So we will read the purport, and as we read part by part, we will be discussing this. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvei Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamshcha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopasha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshvari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so starting from the translation, here Srila Prabhupada gives us this translation, which describes actually who is the person of the steady intelligence. So the steady intelligence means that it's always focused, not disturbed by anything. And he says that a man of steady intelligence is someone who can restrain senses completely, so having the senses completely under control. And this can actually only happen when one fixes the consciousness upon Krishna. And in other verse in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says to Krishna that Krishna, to control the mind is more difficult than to control the senses, and how can I do it? And Krishna explains to Arjuna that actually, yes, the senses are very, very powerful, but the way to control the senses is by engaging them in Krishna's service. And unless we do that, we cannot control the senses. So then when we go to the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the highest conception of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness is clearly explained in this verse. Yes, so the highest perfection, the highest yoga, the topmost yoga is said here that it's Krishna consciousness. So another verse in Bhagavad Gita confirms it, which says, Yoginam api sarvesha mad gatanantar atmana Shradavadan bhajate yomam samyukta tamomataha. This verse says that of all the yogis, the greatest yogi is one who always thinks of me, who always takes shelter of me, who always renders service unto me. This is the real yogi. So this is very interesting because today's concept of yoga in today's world is usually physical exercise. And the best maybe conception is meditation. But this is not the yoga that Krishna is speaking about here. It's the yogi which Krishna is referring to. It's not someone who can stand on their head for half an hour or restrain the breath or by mystic powers move from one place to another. No, it's actually someone who is always thinking of Krishna, who is completely fixed upon Krishna, and who is always doing things for Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada says, unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses. Yes, so like we mentioned already, that the senses are very, very strong. And it's not possible just to say, no, I'm not going to think about it, I'm not going to want it. This is impossible. And actually the only way is to divert, to engage the senses in something else. Like for example, when the child is crying and the child really wants some chocolate or some sweets and the mother says, no, you can't have it because you already had so many sweets today. And when the sweet is lying there and the child is looking at the sweet and the mother is saying, no, you can't have this sweet, the child will just become more and more agitated. But if the mother just takes away the sweet and then she engages this child in some other activity, gives them a toy and let them play, the child will completely forget about this, what the mother took away from the child. So similarly for us, we cannot just say, no, I'm not going to engage in sinful activities again, because we'll just be thinking more and more about it. But if yes, somehow or other, it's good for us to remove ourselves from the situation where it's very possible for us to engage in such situations. So it's good to avoid such situations. It's good to avoid association of those people who are engaging in this kind of activities. But this is not enough, because the mind will be still dwelling on the sense enjoyment, and at one point one may engage in those activities. But the best way is to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. And if the senses are engaged, then we get the higher taste. And Srila Prabhupada explains that actually, yes, we are all servants. By nature, we are servants. So we are always serving. In material world, everyone is serving someone. If one has a job, they're serving the boss. The child is serving the father, and the father is serving the child, and so on. So we have to engage in some way, and as long as we are engaging our senses in serving Krishna, then we are protected, and there is no place for, no time even, to engage in serving Maya. So then Srila Prabhupada says, as cited above, the great sage Durvasa Muni picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarish, and Durvasa Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, the king, although not as powerful a yogi as the sage, but a devotee of the Lord, silently tolerated all the sage's injustices and thereby emerged victorious. So just to briefly summarize this pastime,
Maharaj Ambarish was a great devotee of the Lord, and he, at the same time, he was the emperor of the entire universe. He was the king of the entire universe. So he possessed so much material opulence, but he was never attached to it. He was always completely aloof. And this is because he was pure devotee of the Lord, and he was completely convinced that everything belongs to Krishna, and whatever duty he is performing, he is offering the results of this activity to Krishna. And therefore he was never attached, he was never fearful of losing his possession. And Durvasa Muni, he is impersonalist. He's also very exalted personality, but because he is on this he's practicing yoga, which helps him to connect to impersonal aspect of the Lord. Therefore, he's still attached to he still has some material attachments. So in this pastime, Maharaj Ambarish, he was fasting on Ekadashi, and he was observing full fast, so he didn't eat anything and he didn't drink anything. And on the day of Dvadashi, when he was planning to break his fast very soon, he was just preparing the meal, and suddenly, uninvited, Durvasa Muni appeared. And so Ambarish Maharaj, as a great devotee of the Lord, he understands that when the guest comes to somebody's house, it's like God himself coming. So he received him with due respect. He bathed his feet, and he offered him all kind of respect. And he offered him also a meal. And Durvasa Muni agreed. But he said that he would like to first take a bath in Yamuna river. So Ambarish Maharaj, of course, he just decided to wait. But Durvasa Muni was taking quite a long time, and Maharaj Ambarish suddenly realized that this time for breaking the fast is soon going to be finished. And we know that if one does not break the fast in a certain time, then the result of this fasting is very much diminished. So then Maharaj Ambarish wasn't sure what he's supposed to do. So he decided to advise the more advanced devotees, and the learned brahmanas, and he asked them, what shall I do in this situation? And they told him that you can drink some water, because drinking water is like breaking the fast, but at the same time you don't break your fast. So you can do that. So he did that. He took the advice, he followed. And this is very important to note here, that he asked he didn't act independently. He asked for the advice of his superiors. So, but when Durvasa Muni came back, by his mystic power, he could understand that Ambarish Maharaj already drank water, and he became extremely angry, because in Vedic culture, when the guest comes, one first serves the guest, one first let them drink, let them eat, and then only one drinks and eats. So Durvasa Muni became really angry. He said, how could you do it? How could you drink before me, before serving me? And he became so angry that he took a bunch of his hair, and from this bunch, a demon was manifested, which was resembling blazing fire. And so Durvasa Muni wanted this demon to kill Maharaj Ambarish. And Maharaj Ambarish, in this situation, was just standing with his folded hands, very humble and completely fearless. He was not scared at all, and he was not even trying to defend himself. And this is very amazing, because when we think about situations in our life, it's very difficult to take chastisement. Even if we know that we did something wrong, it's still difficult to take chastisement. And what to say about the situation where we didn't do anything wrong, but still we get chastised? But here, Ambarish Maharaj, he's just taking it as Krishna's mercy. And this is actually how pure devotees react. They just, when chastisement comes, even if they know they didn't do actually anything wrong, because here he asked for advice, so he didn't act independently. But still, he just took it as a pure devotee does. They just take it, whatever comes, they take it as Krishna's mercy. Opportunity to become humble. So in this situation, and actually what happened was that time Krishna sent a disc which protected Maharaj Ambarish, and so this disc not only protected Maharaj Ambarish, but it attacked Durvasa Muni, and he started to run away everywhere in all the planetary system, upper planetary system, lower planetary system. He was running everywhere, but this disc was still chasing him. And after a long time, after all, he surrendered to the Lord. But what we can learn in this from this pastime is that, first of all, about the controlling the senses. So Maharaj Ambarish, he was not fearful. He didn't get angry. He didn't show any sign of disturbance. He was completely silent and completely peaceful. And this is because his senses were completely engaged in thinking about the Lord, serving the Lord. This is actually described here that he just silently tolerated all the sages' injustices and thereby emerged victorious. The king was able to control his senses because of the following qualifications as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the translation of this long verse is: King Ambarish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. He engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a Matpara devotee of the Lord. Matpara means in relation to the Lord, in relationship with the Lord, in connection to the Lord. So that is why he was able to control his senses, because his senses were completely focused on Krishna. And therefore he was completely satisfied, completely peaceful. But Durvasa Muni, because he hasn't developed this relationship with Krishna, because through impersonal meditation on the impersonal Brahman, one cannot develop relationship with the person, because one is meditating on the impersonal aspect of the Lord. And because of that, his senses were easily disturbed. So that's why he became angry, and then he was also fearful when the disc was running after him, was chasing after him. He was fearful, whereas Maharaj Ambarish, even though it looked like he was about to be killed, he was not disturbed because he knew, what is this body? I mean, this is just a covering, but he knew that he is not this body. So, yes, then Srila Prabhupada says, the word Matpara is most significant in this connection. How one can become Matpara is described in the life of Maharaj Ambarish. Srila Balada Vidyabhushana, a great scholar and acharya in the line of the Matpara, remarks, Mat Bhakti Prabhavena Sarvendriya Vijaya Purvika Svatma Drishti Sulabhati Bhava. The senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. Yes. So the only way, again, it is mentioned here that the only way to control the senses is by serving Krishna. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given. As a blazing fire burns everything within the room, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns up all kinds of impurities. So this is a very interesting point here, that Krishna is burning all kinds of impurities in the heart. So then one may ask, how is it then that not everyone is purified? How is that? He's in everyone's heart, but not everyone is connected to him. And this is actually the reason, because Srila Prabhupada says that the Lord Vishnu situated in the heart of the yogi. Yes, Abhi helped me to understand yesterday that because if somebody is the yogi, that means they are connected to Krishna, and only if we connect to Krishna, then he cleanses the heart. And to connect to him, we need to serve him, just like to develop relationship with the person. We need to get to know them. We do something for them. They do something for us. And like this, the relationship develops. So to be connected with Krishna, we have to do something for him. And the best way to connect to Krishna is by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if we do that, then Krishna says he will burn all kinds of impurities. He says also at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham Tvam Sarva Papabhyo Mokshayishyami Mashacha. Thank you. So abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, and I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So he is promising that from all sinful reactions, from all impurities. So whatever dust, whatever dirt we accumulated in our hearts for millions of, thousands and millions of lifetimes, sinful activities, everything, Krishna will purify that. But the condition is that we have to surrender to him. And the best way to surrender is to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, to read Srila Prabhupada's books, to follow four regulative principles. And if we do that, then Srila Prabhupada is saying that this is sure, that we will go back to Godhead in this lifetime. And yes, so this is very crucial. To understand Krishna, we have to perform devotional service. He also said in Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti mama vichanati yavan yaschasmi tatvataha. One can understand me as I am only by devotional service. So that is why those who are not rendering service to Krishna, they can never understand him. And because they can never understand him, then they can never connect to him. And because they can never connect to him, then he cannot purify the hearts. And then Srila Prabhupada says, the Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not meditating on the void. The so-called yogis who meditate on something which is not on the Vishnu platform simply waste their time in a vain search after some phantasmagoria. Yes, so it is very unnatural for us to restrain, to reject the objects of the senses. This is what impersonalists are trying to do, trying to be like a stone. But we are not like a stone. We have feelings, we have senses, and if we try to restrain the senses, it will have the opposite effect, like we mentioned at the beginning with the example of a child. And this is something one may think, yes, if you want to become a stone, it's just like this consciousness when somebody is intoxicated and they don't really know what's happening to them. But we don't want that. We don't want this type unconsciousness. We want to become Krishna conscious, which is more than conscious. So this is the goal of this practice. This is what Srila Prabhupada says here. We have to become Krishna conscious, devoted to the personality of Godhead. This is the aim of the real yoga. So this is the real yoga. Yoga means to connect. So the purpose of yoga is to connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is the conclusion of this verse is that we can only do that if we engage all our senses in the service of the Lord. So just to summarize what we learned from this verse, first we understood that the only way to achieve the steady intelligence is if our senses are controlled, and we understood that they can only be fully controlled if they are engaged in Krishna's service. Then we learned from the example of Maharaj Ambarish that that it's actually very good practice to learn how to tolerate, even if something is very difficult and we some insult comes to us, that there is a great power in tolerating. And if we do that, Krishna will certainly protect us. And we also learned that if we surrender to Krishna, that He will purify our heart from all impurities, and once the heart is purified, we will be qualified to go back to Godhead. And we understood that this is the highest yoga, that there is no higher yoga than this, which is to be connected to Krishna by the process of devotional service. So that's it from me. Is there any questions or comments from your side?
In the end, you're talking about how the person has become like a stone. And I was thinking sometimes, well, in quite a few places, Prabhupada talks about how human life is meant for austerity. So I was just wondering, because, Prabhupada is saying that, our life should be for austerity. How do we avoid becoming kind of a bit impersonal and a bit, like a stone?
Okay, so if I understood correctly, you're saying that Srila Prabhupada says that life is for austerity, so we have to practice some austerity, but you're wondering, but how practicing austerities at the same time we don't become like impersonalists who are like a stone. Yeah, because our austerity is for Krishna, that's why. Their austerity is for some, everyone is performing some austerity, and like for example, in the material world, people perform austerities to get some money, but because we perform austerity for Krishna, then Krishna reciprocates, and this is what if he is asking us to do that, then we are protected by it. Yeah.
So you're saying as long as we're connecting austerity with Krishna, we're not just doing it, for some other material pride or something, then it's going to deepen our relationship because we're reciprocating.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Even sometimes it can happen that even in if we want to do some too much austerity in devotional service, then and if it's not really for Krishna, but we want some recognition, then it can cause pride, and then it can make our heart hard like a stone. But like for example, if we are doing some austerity or we take some vow, it's not good to talk about it that I'm doing this and that. But if we really purely do it for Krishna, then there is no risk. But maybe it's also good to take advice from senior devotees. If we have some idea to take up some austerity, we can always take advice, and if it's really good idea. Yeah.
I was just thinking of, it's a really, really good question about how do we practice austerity one of the things that comes to mind is that as devotees of the Lord in ISKCON, if we follow Srila Prabhupada's his instructions and his mood, and it's to liberate others, it's to help others. And in the example that Srila Prabhupada, his austerity was to come to the West and to preach, to give this knowledge. So I was just thinking that that's if we are performing austerities, I believe that should be at the forefront, that we are doing it to help others. And again, like Srila Prabhupada, he prayed to reduce his sleep. You know, so his austerity wasn't that I want to sleep less, but he was doing it so that he has more time to write. And I was also thinking the example of Lord Shiva. I forget where it is in the bathroom, but there was a moment when the ocean is being churned, and they were told that there would be this poison, this really, can't forget the name of the poison, but there will be this really vicious poison that comes out from the ocean. And when it came out, it was so devastating that none of the demons or demigods could go near it. And then Lord Shiva, hearing about this, that whoever was there was in anxiety about it, he acted out of compassion and swallowed this poison. So I was just thinking again that he performed some form of austerity for the benefit of others. And then when you read the too, that Srila Prabhupada is glorifying devotees of the Lord, that they take up challenges like this, austerities like this for the benefit of others. So I think, like, if I was just thinking about a pastoralist or someone who's again wanting to merge into the Brahmajyoti, that they're considered escapists, or they have some sort of agenda for their own salvation. But the always sort of saying is that I want to get out of the material world. I don't have anything to do with it. And so they take up these austerities for that reason, because it's always based on my salvation. Can I get out? The devotee, again, like Srila Prabhupada, that he's performing perhaps the same austerities, not sleeping, fasting, so many things. But his agenda and his mood is, I want to please my spiritual master, I want to please the acharyas, I want to please Krishna by helping to bring back as many souls as I can.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really nice point. That impersonalists, they just want to run away from this material world. They don't want to suffer anymore. So they are just thinking about themselves. It's very selfish. But the devotee is performing austerities because they want to help others. Like Srila Prabhupada came to the West in such an advanced age, and he went through so many difficulties, and he was praying to reduce his sleep just so that he can translate more, just so that he can preach more and help others. And he didn't have any personal motivation. So that is the difference of the austerity of the impersonalist and austerity of the devotee. Thank you very much.
I was also going to say, it reminds me of the last visit yesterday when he was talking about personalism and Mayavadis, how their goal is jnana and vairagya, their goal is austerity, whereas the personalist uses it as a tool, like you were saying, to not sleep, that was a tool in order to carry out the goal of devotion.
Yeah, that is very nice point. Also, that for impersonalists, jnana, knowledge, and vairagya, renunciation is the goal, but for a devotee, they are just the tools to spread the movement, to become Krishna conscious and to share Krishna consciousness with others.
It's also, it's not that the practice of bhakti yoga is devoid of knowledge. Like Krishna does say that he, to those who show special mercy, gives the knowledge by which they can come to him. And the verse which in the Bhagavad Gita explains Vidya Vinay Sampane, that Vidya, knowledge, Vinay, gentleness. That because the learned Brahmana, because he has this knowledge, it's made him humble. And because of that, he has equal vision, Samadasha. You can see the cow, the dog, Gita, and so many things on an equal plane. So that means that one possesses real knowledge, if they have realized knowledge, then it makes them gentle, not hard-hearted. And also another symptom is that they can see things equally as well. So again, there's that other verse in Gita that explains that by comparison to his own self, that he sees things. So if one has knowledge, they can see that in this world I'm suffering. Therefore, if I'm suffering, I can also see others suffering as well. So but that comes about by, again, not having theoretical knowledge, but realized knowledge.
So the devotees have knowledge, and it's not just theoretical knowledge, but it's practical. They've realized this, that I'm suffering, and I know that others are also suffering, so I want to help them. So devotee has compassion, and this knowledge is used as a tool to help others in that way. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, and sorry for my mistakes. And